Hey everyone, I'm pre-recording a few videos to be released over the next week, and this is the first of those. I thought I'd start something of a mini-series to sort of introduce people to my music taste in general, and the series is going to be sort of counting down my top 10 favorite albums from each decade in my collection. So I thought that'd be an interesting way of doing it, because then, some albums that I would really want to talk about, I haven't quite got to owning yet, and hopefully I will at some point down the line. But the 60s, I think more than any decade, is the one where, I think this is true for everyone, where the same sort of artists sort of show up. You get multiple repeats of artists, which will happen down the line as well, but I feel like especially in the 60s, and this is a decade where, 3 to 5 artists really dominate a lot of lists. But I've got a little bit of variety in there. And maybe my most sort of out there pick is going to be my number 10, which is Reach Out by the Four Tops, which I picked up fairly recently. This is just a great album, sort of soul album from start to finish. Motown sound. Reach Out, obviously, classic song, everybody loves it. Walk Away Renee, Standing in the Shadows of Love, I'll Turn to Stone, Cherish is amazing, Bernadette is awesome. It's just, the whole thing is just a joyous experience. The vocals are great, and I like the album cover, I like the sort of the colour scheme there. So it's my number 10. My number 9, a lot of people will probably have this higher, Highway 61 Revisited by Bob Dylan. Again, amazing album, Like a Rolling Stone, obviously great. Queen Jane Approximately, love that one. Ballad of a Thin Man, Desolation Row. So each, the start and end of each side is brilliant. A couple tracks I don't love, which is what drags it down a little bit. I don't love From a Buick 6. I don't really love the title track either, although I do like PJ Harvey's cover of it a lot. But then I do like It Takes a Lot to Laugh, It Takes a Train to Cry, just like Tom Thumb's Blues. Overall, really great. The band sounds great. Some of Dylan's most iconic songs. So, number 9, Highway 61 Revisited. Number 8, another one a lot of people would have a lot higher, but I think an essential in anyone's collection, Pet Sounds by the Beach Boys. This has one of my top 5 favourite songs of all time, and God Only Knows. Wouldn't It Be Nice is obviously amazing. Sleep John B, Caroline No, I Know There's an Answer. Just an amazing album from front to back. Just kind of shows you how the top end of the 60s is so stacked that this is only coming in at number 8. Number 7, it's going to be Back to the Soul, my favourite soul album. Second favourite soul album of all time. We'll get to that in the 70s, what my favourite one is. Otis Redding, Otis Blue. Just amazing. The original version of Respect, which Aretha Franklin would go on to cover, I think this version is just as good. I've Been Loving You Too Long. My Girl, his cover is amazing. Just the whole thing is awesome. And if you haven't heard it, it's I would say it's the best soul has to offer in the 60s, in my opinion. Where are we now? Number 6. An album that I mentioned in my first video, In the Court of the Crimson King by King Crimson. I'll show it off again because it's so cool. I talked about this a lot, and I don't really have much else to add, but if you've heard it, you know why it's so good. Just Greg Lake, Robert Fripp. Just incredible album. My number 5 is going to be, I think, I don't know if I'd call it underrated, but more overshadowed. Velvet Underground, Self-Titled, which I actually like quite a lot more than Velvet Underground and Nico, which just missed this list. I do own it, it's down there. But this is very, very good. It's really slow and sad and quiet. So very much my vibe. Candy Says is beautiful. I think Pale Blue Eyes is one of the greatest songs ever written. I think Beginning to See the Light is brilliant. After Hours is iconic. I just think you can't really get much better if you're wanting sort of a quiet late night album. This is the one for my money. Number 4, we're finally going to hit the Beatles, which we are going to get again after this. But my number 4 is going to be Abbey Road, their final recorded album. What can I say about this album? Come Together, Here Comes the Sun, Golden Slumbers, Something, I Want You, She's So Heavy. Like, there's just so many incredible songs on here. Album cover is iconic. Not my favorite Beatles album, but if you say it is your favorite Beatles album, I'm not going to be able to argue. However, what is my favorite Bob Dylan album? Blonde on Blonde, which actually works that way, but it's a very weird gatefold, this one. But yeah, this is for me the better album of the best album of his rock trilogy in the 60s. I Want You is a fantastic sort of poppy gem of a song. Sad-Eyed Lady of the Lowlands is amazing. I actually think Fourth Time Around is one of my favorite Bob Dylan songs. I think that's such an underrated song, as is One of Us Must Know, which I absolutely love. Just some great songs. Stuck Inside a Mobile with the Memphis Blues again. Just absolutely stacked album. That's my number 3 of the 1960s. My number 2, going back to the Beatles, going with a lot of people's favorite Beatles album, is Revolver, which to me is pretty much flawless. I'm Only Sleeping is one of my favorite Beatles songs, as is And Your Bird Can Sing, which I know John Lennon doesn't like, but doesn't really like anything he ever made. Just every track, man, I just love it. Eleanor Rigby, Taxman, Here, There and Everywhere, She Said, She Said, Got to Get You Into My Life, Tomorrow Never Knows. Just absolutely incredible album. Which leads to number 1. It's going to be the Beatles again. 3 of my top 4, the Beatles. And anyone who knows me knows this is my favourite Beatles album. Might be a bit of a hot take. But this is the one that I've always loved the most. I think it has a couple tracks you could probably have cut. And it is the White Album, if you didn't know. But it is a long album, and there are a couple of tracks I don't care for. There's no tracks that I would just straight up skip throughout the whole thing. And it has, for me, their best material is all on here. Dear Prudence, While My Guitar Gently Weeps, Happiness Is a Warm Gun, I'm So Tired, Muff My Dear, Blackbird, Helter Skelter. Just absolutely stacked. It's my favourite album of the 60s in my collection is the White Album. It's probably my top 10 albums of all time. It's also my favourite Beatles album. So, here they all are. I hope that this video was enjoyable and that I didn't say too many things that were controversial. But yeah, I'll be hopefully doing one of these for the 70s and the 80s, 90s, noughties and the 10s. And yeah, hopefully I'll be able to not only give a good idea of what my taste looks like, but also give some recommendations if you're interested in certain eras. I know a lot of people are going to be interested in the 60s and the 70s stuff. But yeah, that's my top 10. And I'll see you for the next video.